Before we begin this video, I would like to quickly state that I absolutely stand by the writers who are currently on strike in Hollywood. Without the writers, there would be no movies for us to enjoy or comment on, and the only reason that I am still making this video despite the strike is because it has been stated that reviewing movies and still going to see the movies that are currently out, like paying to see them, actually furthers their cause, and it pays the writers who wrote those movies that are currently out because it's been written. Like, you need to support those people. But now that the strike has happened, everything has halted production, or everyone in alliance with the strike has halted production, and I am 100% in support of all the people who have done that, because they are just as essential to these movies as the faces we see acting them out. But like I say, it's been said that reviewing and paying to see these movies is helpful to the strike cause, but if that ever changes, I will make those changes to my account in regards to reviewing any future movies or talking about future movies. But for the moment, I am comfortable in making this Barbie movie review. For more information on the strike, you can check out the link down below. Spoiler warning, this video contains absolute and total spoilers for the Barbie movie from beginning to end. If you have not seen the movie yet or don't want it ruined, please click off this video. Maybe come back when you've seen it, maybe not. Do what you like. But I will be spoiling certain aspects of the movie in this video. When I wake up in my own pink world, I get out of bed and wave to my homegirl. Hey Barbie, hey! I wasn't meant to see the Barbie movie on release day. In fact, I never see movies on release day. I normally wait a week or so because it is usually totally sold out or there are massive crowds, and that's just not my scene. But I got the opportunity to see the Barbie movie on Friday because a family member had spare tickets that went to both me and my father. So we went to see it on Friday, and I had to dress all in pink. Of course I dressed all in pink. And I brought the only doll I have left that had survived my childhood. She is a Dolls Around the World Ireland Barbie. And by survived my childhood, I mean I've started collecting dolls again this year. I have a collection that is vastly growing, bigger than the space that I have already. But even though I have certain dolls that have been bought for me that I owned as a child, such as my Flower Surprise Barbie, the Dolls Around the World Ireland Barbie is the only one I have left that I actually played with as a kid, that I held in my hands as a kid. Whereas the ones I have now are all like reminiscent, nostalgic products that I have rebought to relive my childhood, whereas this one was my childhood. I had it as a child, so I brought her with me in my bag. And I loved it. I loved the Barbie movie. We need to get that out of the way immediately. It was so much fun. It was a bit heavy-handed in its messaging a bit. It could have been a bit more subtle, but that honestly wasn't a problem for me. It was evident that like a mirage of research had gone into making this movie. There was so much detail and just intricate little bits and pieces that if you played with your Barbies as a kid, you played with your dolls, you would appreciate those little bits and pieces. And they included real actual dolls. They included dolls that you would have pointed out and be like, I remember that one, or I remember hearing about that one, or I remember that one that was discontinued. The dog, the Walk Me dog that pooped, was in that movie, and I had that doll. I had the Walk Your Dog Barbie, where you fed the dog the pellets and it pooped. And even though it was recalled, we never returned it, so I don't know if it ever reached us that it was recalled, but it got recalled. It was one of the recalled ones. That's why I think it was in Weird Barbie's house. They included real dolls that actually existed and were either discontinued or extremely popular. Like, they had Grow With Me Skipper, they had Pregnant Midge, they had Magic Earring Ken, they had Totally Hair Barbie and Peaches and Cream Barbie. Like they went above and beyond with details of real world things that they didn't need to do. Like, to make a Barbie movie, they didn't have to do that. I mean, like, just look at the Bratz movie for like an example of how like people make movies about dolls and they don't really like care about like detail or anything like that. Like, the only thing that movie really had to do with Bratz was that it was in name. But this movie was Barbie from beginning to end, and I loved it, and it made me feel like a child again, and I was so excited. those touches had to be like my favorite part of the movie. Of course, all the performances were fantastic. Margot Robbie was fantastic. Ryan Gosling was hilarious. And I just, without like going into too many spoilers, I am spoiling some things, but without going into too much detail, because if I do like a whole plot analysis, I'm never going to be able to go to the point of this video in the first place. It was just all fantastic. I loved it. Like I say, little bit heavy-handed with its messaging, but it was fun, and it was pink, and it was girly, and it awoke in the inner child in me, and I appreciated all of it. All of it. Except I wasn't allowed to have a weird Barbie as a kid because my mum would have hit the roof if I'd wrecked my Barbie, like, to make a real weird Barbie, so I didn't have a weird Barbie, but I loved Kate McKinnon as the weird Barbie. Like, I loved her performance, and I loved the little sequence you saw of the kid just wrecking the Barbie. I thought that was hilarious, although it's made me a little bit nervous that the dolls that I now collect have inherited my depression. Like, there's a Barbie world somewhere where all the dolls that I now collect and kind of hold and pose have inherited my inner demons and problems, and they're all having their own flat feet issues in a Barbie world way off where you have to skate to on Venice Beach. But try not to think too hard on that. But I believe the intentions of the Barbie movie are being purposely misunderstood. Of course, this was inevitable. Barbie has always been a controversial figure, particularly for women. But the funny thing is, the people who I see complaining about this, besides that I'm not like other girls, women, who make sure people know that they were against the grain from a young age and never played with Barbies in the first place and they never liked Barbie, apart from those women, the complaints I have seen have come more from men, which I find interesting. It seems to be men that are more pressed about the Barbie movie than anyone else. Not saying that there aren't women who aren't pressed, I'm just saying that this is what I've seen, personally. Of course there are going to be women who are pressed. And this is not to say if you didn't like the film that your opinion is invalid. Everyone is entitled to their own thoughts and opinions, and I just personally am talking about certain criticisms that I've seen about the Barbie movie since it came out on Friday. Even before that, there have been certain people saying these things as well. But if you didn't like it in general, that's fine. You have just as much of a right to not like it as I have the right to like it. I'll start with the dumbest criticism. I have seen articles saying that Barbie has been pushing a trans agenda. The only connection I can make to this certain trans agenda is the fact that Harry Neff plays Dr. Barbie. That's it. Transness doesn't come up at all. Trans issues doesn't come up at all. It is just purely the existence of a trans actress in the movie that has people accusing Barbie of pushing a trans agenda. And I'm sick and tired of seeing the existence of trans people being used as pushing an agenda, because it's not. The existence of LGBT people is not pushing an agenda. We're just trying to exist. We're just trying to exist in spaces and pursue the things that we love, and we're not trying to push an agenda of our existence in any way, shape or form. You know what? Harry Neff screaming flat feet was iconic. Cry about it. Okay, from this point onward, I'll try to be more neutral. I'll try anyway. There's an argument that the Barbie movie is anti-men. This argument has come from certain female critics and also male critics of the Barbie movie, but I can't help but feeling like the people who are making this criticism that the movie is anti-men are the exact same people who would have discouraged or made fun of boys in their class if they had played with dolls or liked pink or liked Barbie in the first place. This isn't a problem for them in, for example, Barbie in the Dream House on Netflix. Ken is seen as a bit of a fool. He's a lovable fool in Barbie the Dream House on Netflix. But they don't care about that Ken, because Barbie in the Dream House isn't a big blockbuster hit, and it is, so they don't feel the need to kind of impose themselves onto it or oppose their thoughts and opinions onto it. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who don't like Ken and Barbie in the Dream House. Obviously that's not what I'm saying, but you don't see articles complaining about Barbie in the Dream House being anti-men, because it is a cartoon and it is about the dolls. In the same way that the Barbie movie is live action about the dolls, but because it is a bigger deal, that's why people complain, because it's popular. because people say that all the men in the movie were seen as fools or idiots and Ken was pathetic, and they seem to miss the point that Barbie Land was supposed to be an inverse of reality. So it was supposed to show some of the imbalances between men and women. And yes, the patriarchy came up a couple of times. Acknowledging the existence of the patriarchy is not anti-men. It's just referencing a system that existed, or arguably still exists. I believe it still exists, but we're not going to get into that. That preferenced men and favoured men for years, decades. Acknowledging the existence of that system is not anti-men. It's just acknowledging a system that also affects men. Because it's not just a woman exclusive thing. The patriarchy also affects men. But anti-men, I guess. Ken wasn't allowed to just walk into jobs. He thought whenever he was in reality, he thought, oh, men rule this world. I can just walk into any job I want. And he wasn't allowed to. They said, you need qualifications. You can't just walk in. So it wasn't even like there was an argument that all men walk into jobs unqualified and they get whatever they want without having like the right like certifications, because Ken was turned away. He was told, no, you need qualifications. And yeah, there was one asshole who was just like, oh, we're more quiet about it, and you're like, okay, freaking Illuminati shit, man. So that's why Ken returns to Barbie Land, because it wasn't working for him in reality. And he brings a patriarchy to Barbie Land that goes as well as you think it will. All goes to hell. The people who made the review saying the movie is anti-men don't talk about the fact that the movie also addressed toxic femininity, how Barbie gave little girls an unrealistic self-image and made them feel inadequate because of how beautiful and disproportionate her body was, about how there's standards placed on other women, that women bitching about women is also addressed in the movie whenever the president Barbie apologizes at the end for how they called weird Barbie, and they never really gave her a chance because she wasn't as pretty or nice as them. Capitalism and consumerism because of Barbie dolls is also addressed. Barbie Land is an inverse of reality, and even so, it is acknowledged that the treatment of the Kens in Barbie Land is not right, because it is supposed to try and make people say, hey, this is kind of like how women were treated. Not necessarily now, it's not as blatant now, but it was how women were treated at a point in time. And it's supposed to show that Barbie Land is a bit backward. And it said eventually, at the end it said eventually Barbie Land will get to a point where it is the way it is now. And Kens will have the same kind of rights as women have at the minute. And the fact that people were bothered by that kind of shows is like, so you're saying that women don't have the same sort of rights in reality? Or what are you trying to say? Why are you annoyed by that? Yeah, it's supposed to make you realise some uncomfortable truths about the people in power and the people that, and I think that's what these folks are rejecting, and that's why they're calling it anti-men, because there are more men in power. That is just a fact. There are more men in power than women. Yes, there are women who are breaking the glass ceiling, and they're getting there and they're pushing through, but there are definitely a disproportionate male to female ratio in power. And I'm not saying the men that are in power are unqualified, and I'm not saying that the women who are in power aren't qualified. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that whether you like it or not, there are more men in power. And that's one of the things that the movie was trying to state, because in Barbie Land, all the people in power are women. In the same way that for a very long time, all the people in power were men in reality. And that's why Barbie Land is the opposite of reality. And yeah, it's a bit of an uncomfortable truth, but it's the truth all the same. Okay, let's get into the woke argument. Why are we still using the word woke? Woke was a word that was coined like in 2016, was it, by conservatives as a way to kind of blanket over any valid points that they might have to criticize things. They don't, instead of like saying something that you might actually listen to and think, oh, they have a point there, they just go, oh, it's woke. It is a word coined by conservatives to insult things that they don't agree with, and they use it as a way to like not have to have a proper discussion. The word woke is so boring by now that whenever you hear it, you just think, oh, you don't have anything decent to say, do you? You don't have anything proper to say. Even saying I just didn't like it would be better than just being like, oh, it's woke. Addressing sexism, racism, patriarchy, power imbalance, the existence of LGBT people and trans people is not woke. These are just people and systems that exist, that are real. You can't dismiss them by saying that a movie is woke just for addressing their existence. You don't get to do that, because they exist whether you do that or not. So you're just using a word that was coined in 2016 and is dull and overused as any other word. Like, they say that leftists like to label things. I've never seen something labelled more than people calling things woke. The wokeness that people accuse that this movie has are exactly the kind of things that a Barbie doll would encounter if she came out of her little fantasy world and encountered the real world. What did you think a Barbie was going to find if she walked out of her little fantasy pink bubble and came into the real world? Did you not think that she was going to get sexually assaulted for wearing the outfits that she wears? Did you not think that she was going to find out that it's all mainly men in power? Did you not think that she was going to get a reality check about human emotion and how people interact, and about how men and women exist in the real world differently to how it is in a little pink world where kids play? That's not woke. That's just what would happen. That's just what would happen if someone who lived in a little pink bubble all their life suddenly came into the real world. Because the real world sucks. It's awful. I hate it. I want to go to Barbie Land. And I just can't wrap my head around the fact that anyone thought that a movie about Barbie was gonna, like, that was gonna be, like, more about blokes than it was about women. Like, and I've never seen anyone complain about the treatment of Ken in any of the Barbie cartoons. But then they don't watch the Barbie cartoons because they didn't hit the kind of popularity or the hype that the Barbie live action movie has hit, so they don't care about those. Those don't matter, even though they are iconic. I love Barbie and the Nutcracker. It's my favourite one. Like, I know it's just people trying to find things to complain about. I know it's just people trying to, like, justify how they feel whenever they are confronted by uncomfortable truths. And yeah, again, if you don't like the Barbie movie for other reasons, or even the reasons that I've listed, that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. I'm just trying to kind of get my own thoughts across on, like, some of these criticisms that I've come across. Because I loved the Barbie movie, and I thought, yeah, it was dumb fun and a bit heavy-handed with its messaging. Like, they could have said, like I say, bringing up the patriarchy isn't a bad thing, but, like, the word patriarchy came up a lot. It was like a buzzword in the movie, and it was starting to get a bit, okay, we get it. But it could have been a bit more subtle, but beyond that, I loved it. We'll see it 3 or 4 more times. I'll see it with anyone who wants to see it with me. Do you guys want to see it with me? I'll go and see it with you guys. Like, I'll go and see it. I've got all the Barbie merch from Primark, and I don't go to any other shop that has the Barbie merch, except DV8, because that was far too expensive for a t-shirt. But I digress. So, yeah, those are just some of my thoughts on the main criticisms of the Barbie movie that I've seen in regards to the Barbie movie. And this is just, the movie has just come out, so, like, more criticisms might come across, and, like, maybe I'll end up rethinking my thoughts and not liking it, because that's what happened with the Bratz movie. I saw the Bratz movie as a kid, and I thought it was great, and now I know it was an actual racist dumpster fire, so, you know, we all grow, you know, so, like, comment, and subscribe. Don't do any of that. You don't want to. I don't want you there if you don't want to be there. Let me know your thoughts on the Barbie movie. Let me know your thoughts on some of the criticisms of the Barbie movie. Check out my book if you want. Again, don't do that if you don't want to. You don't have to. If you don't want to, I don't want you there if you don't want to be there. It is free on Amazon Kindle Unlimited, though, if I can tempt you. But again, you don't have to. And remember, I would hand Mermaid John Cena a brewski any day. Alright. And you won't get that unless you've seen the movie. Okay? Love you guys.